Most traders wait for price to move. I spot imbalances before it even reacts. Thank you for watching Cash Flow Marco TV. We're going to be learning about imbalances. Like I always say, I have a lot of value and a little time to share it. Shall we begin? Most traders wait for price to move. I spot imbalances before it even reacts. Here's how. And before we get started, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Imbalances. Today you're going to discover 3 spotting methods for imbalances. Method 1, higher time frame imbalances. Method 2, entry driven imbalances. And method 3, candle clues. But first, let's cover the basics and give you a small example. What are price imbalances? Price imbalances occur when there is a sudden sharp move in price with little to no opposing order flow, creating a gap between buying and selling pressure. This results in an area where prices move too quickly, leaving behind a void or imbalance that often gets filled later as the market seeks equilibrium. Here I have an example of an imbalance. Usually in the market, a typical imbalance will be an impulsive move to the downside, indicating 2 sharp, long wick candlesticks. This will be an indication of a bearish imbalance, and this will be an indication of a bullish imbalance. Imbalances are key indicators for traders, as they suggest regions where price may return to fill the gap, potentially reversing or continuing a trend. These areas typically occur after a strong institutional order has been executed, leaving the market with an unfilled supply and demand zone. So here we have supply and demand, same as support and resistance. For us ICT traders, this will basically be sell side liquidity and buy side liquidity. Here's an example of an imbalance making an impulsive move to the downside, and as it fills the gap, it makes an impulsive move back to the upside, creating a fair value gap. We usually discover a fair value gap after a major reversal of a trend, similar to an order block, but not necessarily, because we're looking for either a reversal or a continuation. So let's go over some market structure principles before we dive on the laptop today. Protected high is PH, a protected low is PL, a higher high is HH, a higher low is HL, a lower high is LH, and a lower low is LL. In a bullish trend, we would want to make our entries based on a protected low. So in order to discover a protected low, we'll want to figure out where our points are. So this right here would be a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, correct? So let's stick to the bull. If we're making an entry based on a protected low, that means our protected low will be here. We'll say here and here. And if we like to make an entry based on a protected high in a bear market, we want to identify our lower highs and lower lows. So this will be a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And our protected high would be here and here. So these areas will be our entry points. Short on time, let's just use Bitcoin as a live example. So overall, the trend is bullish. So we would be looking for entry based on protected low. So let's indicate what a protected low will look like. So if price is bullish, that means we'll have higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and it will look something like this, correct? Then we want to add our higher highs, right? And so overall on this chart, we would say this would be considered a higher high. This will be considered a higher high. And where price is now is a higher high. We'll also be looking for lower highs for our entry. So this will be a lower high. This will be a lower high. That'll be about it. We would like to make an entry where there is a protected low. So our protected low will be in a zone like here, right? But before we make that type of move, we would like to spot an imbalance first. So let's go to a smaller time frame and find an imbalance because we're in a higher time frame. So usually I like to make my entries in the 15-minute, but Bitcoin is a very, very volatile pair. So we'll do the hourly for today. So we know in the higher time frame, the daily, this will be our zone. So we would be looking for imbalances such as here. And let's go ahead. We see that this is one of our lower highs. So with this being one of our lower highs, we know the overall trend is bullish. Price made an imbalance. Let me move this out the way. So this would be a great example right here. We have an impulsive move to the downside, and price has to fill this area, correct? So we will wait for price to get to this position with this area being our protected low. We would gauge for a entry based on this fair value gap that we found based on the imbalance. So we will make entryway here, right? This being our protected low, I usually do about a 1 to 3. We would gauge for price to fill this imbalance here, in which it does. And this is just a small naked calendar example, not naked calendar, naked chart example of how I would make an entry based on an imbalance here that I discovered, because we see here in the smaller time frame, price is bearish, but we know when price makes an impulsive move like this, we will be looking for entry. So we went over method one, went over the higher time frame imbalance. We identified an imbalance in the daily and the 4-hour, and we anticipate where price will rebalance in the higher time frame, leading us to method two, which will bring us down to the 15-minute. But in this case, since it's Bitcoin, we did the hourly, which we will find an entry driven imbalance. We will want to find our protected low, and we want to make our stop loss based on that protected low and make our entry based on the fair value gap. And for method 3, we would like to use candlestick clues. So this imbalance right here will be our candlestick clue and our candlestick cue to make entry point, because we know price has to rebalance. So using all 3 of these methods along with your other confluence, whatever your confluence may be, depending on the type of trader you are, you'll want to use these confluences to make your entry. This is something I do want to say: do not rely on one confluence to make an entry when trading. Always have 3 or more confluences. And I would say 3 to 6, because there are other traders that have more than 3 and that have like 6 or 7, but there's no reason for you to have 10 confluences. I mean, at that point, you would be overdoing it, if you ask me. When trading, we want to keep it super simple. So 3 to 6 is enough confluence. That's why I have 4 confluences that I go by, and I'm teaching my 4 confluences that I use when I trade. So as you can see here, just based on the fair value gap being filled, us making entryway, we were able to capitalize on this trade. And it didn't happen right away. We see this was what, the 23rd of June. This fair value gap was filled. Excuse me. And this trade closed July 2nd, a couple days before Independence Day. So just buying and holding this trade with our stop loss and our take profit set would definitely capitalize on this trade. Hopefully this live naked chart example that I just whipped up out of the sky blue was able to help you, and you was able to get value. If this sharpened your lens, subscribe for next week's breakdown. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're interested in practicing risk management and you'd like an ebook copy of the ABC trading rules, the link will be down in the description. Like I always say, I have a lot of value and a little time to share it. Peace.